Hey guys, this is your friend Iggy back again. Over here, I don't know if you can see me. Today I'm going to show you guys how to build a PC. This is the Darkest Light build. Again, I'm going to show you guys how to build a PC with everything you see here. So first off, we can see we have the Fractal Design Define R6 case. Down there we have the Patriot Viper 16 gig RGB 3200 megahertz RAM, as well as the Core i9 9900K processor. Then down there we can see the WD Black 1 terabyte 750 NVMe M.2 PCIe SSD. Down here we can see we have the EVGA GeForce RTX 2080 XC Ultra video card, as well as the EVGA Z390 Dark motherboard. Then we have over here the Be Quiet Straight Power 11 1000 watt modular power supply. Down here we have the 500 gig Samsung Evo drive. Then over here we have the Western Digital Blue 500 gig drive. Then we have the Arctic Freezer 33 eSports 1 CPU cooler. And then down here you can see the Patriot Scorch 256 gig M.2 PCIe SSD. So this is going to be a two-part video. Well, three parts maybe. One, building the PC, regular speed, explaining each and every step as I go so that you can learn how to build a PC if you don't know how to. The other part's going to be how to cable this bad boy. And then the third video, or the third in the set, is going to be the fast forward video. For those of you that already know how to build a PC, I'm going to build it in fast forward with no explanation, just building it to come from start to end. And well, you guys tell me what you think in the comments below. I'm also going to be listing in the description every single piece here, a link to the Amazon store so that you guys can get one too if you're interested, or at least check out the prices. But anyway, come over here real quick. I'm super excited to get started on this build. Okay, so we're going to start with the easy part first. First, we're going to go ahead and install the Patriot Scorch 256 gig M.2 drive. Okay, so what we're going to do first is, you can see right here, there's a little teeny tiny screw, and let me zoom in for you. Okay, you can see that right here. So we're just going to go ahead and unscrew that and put that aside for right now. And then we're going to grab the drive, and then you can see there's a little tiny notch right over here. Okay, and then with that notch, there's going to be a notch right over here as well on the drive. So we're just going to slide it right in and then push the drive in gently, and then push the drive down. We're going to put that screw back in. Just screw it in lightly. Okay, so we're done there. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and install the 1 terabyte WD Black SN750 NVMe SSD. So first off, we're going to go ahead and remove this screw here. Okay, and we're going to be installing the drive right over here on the M.2 slot. So we're just going to go ahead and grab the drive. You'll notice there's a little notch right over here on the drive. There's that same notch right over here on the M.2 slot. And we're just going to go ahead and align them, and then push the drive in gently, and then push the drive down. And with holding that drive down, we grab the screw for the M.2 slot, and then we just screw it back in. And that's it. You've installed the Western Digital Black SN750 NVMe SSD. All right, now let's move on to the next piece. We're going to go ahead and install the Core i9 9900K processor. So first off, we take the tray off of the CPU socket. Make sure you don't touch any of those pins. Those bend incredibly easy. Okay? And then in order to install it, okay, we push this down, pull it out, and then lift. That unlocks this tray here. And then we pull it back, and that's going to lift this tray. So now we just lift the tray, and now we're ready to install the CPU. Okay, so first off, you're going to notice there's a little notch right over here and another little notch right over here. That's to help match up with the notches on the CPU itself. To make installation that much easier, there's a notch right there and right over here. So all you do is drop the CPU into the socket, matching up those notches. Maybe move it around just to make sure that it is perfectly seated. And then we drop the tray. Make sure these two little pieces of metal are under this, and just push that lever down. And then pull it out this way, push it down again, and then let it slide underneath this little locking mechanism right here. And you've just installed the Intel Core i9 9900K processor. Okay, so now next we're going to go ahead and install the Arctic Freezer 33 Esports 1. Okay, first off, we're gonna go ahead and grab the back plate. So then we lift the motherboard. Okay, so this is the back plate over here. You'll notice there is a little screw here, and there is a little hole there for the screw. So all we do is line up these little metal posts right here. They're going to go through these 4 little holes on the motherboard. So put it on there lightly, make sure they all line up. And now we can just hold it in place, slide it on the table. Okay, and you're going to notice metal threading here and here, here, and then also here. You might need to push down a little bit there just to make it come through a little bit more, but that's gonna go ahead and go through and pull itself out as you're screwing in the screw for the heatsink. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and put on some of the MX4 thermal paste. So just open it up here. There's a little cutout right over here so that you could just pull it open like this. Way too much there, that's okay. And then, so we're going to put about the size of a pea in the center. Came out kind of quickly, but that's a good amount. Okay, you could see that there. And now we'll zoom out. Okay, so now what we're going to go ahead and do, since we are installing the Core i9, is we're going to go ahead and grab the heatsink, and we're going to go ahead and take the fan off. So just push this out. Okay, these little metal indentations, you can see that right there. They slide into the hole right over here for the CPU fan. And we'll just take it out over here as well. Now don't take out these out, because then it becomes a little bit more difficult to put them back in. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, you'll see there's a little groove right over here. We're gonna go ahead and slide this into that groove. And then inside the package comes this little screw. We're gonna go ahead and screw in that screw. Just right here. Okay, and then we'll do the same on the other side. Okay. And now this motherboard, because of the odd placement of the DIMM slots, makes it a little difficult. I prefer to install it like this. That way air comes in through here and then goes out through the back of the computer. But because of the RAM, it gets in the way and it hits right over here. Now, usually DIMM slots are right over here on this side of the board, but this board is a little bit different. Now what we'll do is, instead of putting it this way, we're gonna go ahead and mount it this way. So now it's going to be sucking in air from the bottom of the case and exhausting it towards the top. So the top of this case has holes. If you want fans, you can have fans on the top, sucking air out of the case, exhausting it out of the top of the case. Or you can have a liquid cooling unit, of course. But in my case, I don't have anything exhausting from the top. It's just covered. But the way it's going to be circulating, some's going to be coming out from the front of the case, and then some is going to be coming out of the back, and then being sucked out by the fan. I'm going to show you guys how to install the Patriot Viper RGB dual channel DDR4 16 gig kit. Okay, so first off, on any motherboard you install this onto, you're going to want to open up the DIMM slots. So you'll notice there's this little guy right over here. Okay, so all we're going to do is put our fingers on it and push it out to open it. And I'll do this with this finger on the second one, just push it out. Now most motherboards have 4 slots. The EVGA Z390 Dark only has 2 slots. So I'm just gonna open these on this side as well. Okay, so now you'll notice on the motherboard right over here, there's a little notch. Okay, that's gonna go ahead and match up to the notch right here on the memory. So we're just going to install this on the very first one closest to the motherboard, but you'll notice I'm not matching up the slots. So the memory is gonna seesaw there. So we'll just go ahead and take it out, turn it around, match it up and slide it down. And now we're just gonna push down a little bit. Okay, so what that did, that pressure went ahead and locked this into place, holding down the memory with these little notches on the side of the RAM. See right over here? Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing with this second stick. So I've installed that one incorrectly again, just so that you can see it seesaw in there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take it out, turn it around, slide it back in, and again, just applying some pressure. There you go, pretty simple, right? All right, so now the next step is actually inserting the motherboard, but not just yet, hold on. You have to put in the IO shield. Now, I've done this once or twice. I've installed the board, installed the video card, RAM, all that good stuff, and then realized, oh man, I forgot to install this. If you forget to install this, there is no easy way to install it. You have to take everything out, put this in, and put everything back in. So hopefully I'll help you remember that step. So to install that, on the back of the board, you're going to install that right here. You'll notice there's these little dimples right over here. Dimple there, 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 there. All right, and they're on the other side as well as the top. Now, those little dimples are going to slide and snap into place, for example, on this little bar you see right over here, down here, over here, and up here as well. So sometimes this is easy to install, sometimes you gotta push really hard. So from the inside, we're just going to push that out and it's gonna snap into place. Again, sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's difficult. So we're just going to go ahead, line it up right over here, and just push it out. Try to push it out with your fingertips. Wow, this was one of the easiest ones I've ever inserted before, so that's awesome. Okay, so you never want to push on the middle. So from the inside, never push on the middle because you're gonna bend it. You just push on the edge over here, on the edge over here, on the edge over here, and over here, just kind of snapping everything into place. And that's it, you've installed the IO shield. Okay, so I'm gonna move the case back a little bit so that I can show you a little bit easier on how to install it. Okay, so now this motherboard has the standoffs already put in place everywhere you need it. So thankfully, you don't have to find it. If you would have to stand up the board, kind of put the board in place and just see where everything is like that. Okay, now the other thing is this is an EATX motherboard. So you have to make sure that your case will work with an EATX motherboard. Okay, the other thing to mention is for most people, it's easier to lay the case down and work on it looking down. But in order to record the video, it's a lot easier for me to record like this. And then of course, for you to see what I'm actually doing. Another thing to mention about this motherboard, this little screw right here, or that little standoff, is actually a reverse standoff. So you slide the board in place and this holds the motherboard in place, which makes it easier for me that I'm doing it standing up. Then it's going to also help you align your board so that you put everything in correctly. Okay, so. And now back here, this is another thing that helps you. You're going to need to align everything in place. On this board, it should be a little bit easier because it has those Wi-Fi ports sticking out. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and just verify locking it in place with that reverse standoff. All right, now it's in there. We can let go. It's not gonna slide out standing up. It's not gonna do it and laying down. Well, it's just going to work as it is. Now, this motherboard brings its own screws. This little baggie here. Usually motherboards don't bring the screws. It comes with a case. And mind you, I could use those, but since I'm reviewing this motherboard as well, we're gonna go ahead and use the screws that it brings. Okay, so now on this motherboard, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 screws. So just make sure you have 9 screws. Okay, and at this point, even if you have the case laying down, it always helps to have a magnetized tip screwdriver so that, see, even at an angle, the screw's still there. So careful, it looks like some of these screws don't really screw in properly. Now, being that I've already screwed another motherboard into this case, those screws might be a little too threaded, but just be careful when you put them in. Just make sure that they don't fall out easy. I'm having to use the previous screws. All right, so that's about it. All the screws have been screwed in. Again, for that one, and that one, I had to use a regular screw like that, but that's okay. Again, Motherboards don't typically bring those screws, so it was nice that they included it. Now, I mentioned before that you want to make sure that all the screws are lined up. The other thing that brought or included in this is this PCB. Okay, this will also help you line the screws correctly, so that way you don't have to use your actual motherboard. So that's a nice bonus there. And then when you're done with it, you could always hang it on your wall or use it to do other stuff on, so it's pretty nice. At this point, now all we have to do is insert the video card and maybe any other card you might have, and then do cabling. Now, it's always best to leave the video card for last because there are cables involved as well. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead and move into the cabling, which also includes plugging in the power supply.
Disclaimer, this product was provided to the author to do a review. All opinions are 100% authors and authors alone. For more information, visit bit.ly/dbdisclose. To have your product or brand showcased on Dragon Blogger, visit bit.ly/reviewmyproduct. Thank you for watching.